Hey guys, welcome back to Unbiased Magic Reviews, the place you come to for honest magic reviews that you can count on. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at the Groove Electric 2.0 by Doc Docherty. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Clubs right there, right? Ace of clubs, right? And you've got the queens, right? So keep them together, but put it lower than your ace, right? We've got the two queens here and your card here, right? Will you push your card in? Perfect. Will you take those?
Yeah.
Right. Did you see it go? Look, the queens. If we wait just a second, boop, it arrived in between the two queens now, right? What was your card? Right? Exactly. What was your card? The ace of clubs. There it is, the ace of clubs.
That's wild.
So the Groove Electric switch is something I developed about 10 years ago. It allows you to switch a card from the out jock position just by closing the fan. I'll teach you a force, a switch, a control, all the tips, all the handlings that make the Groove Electric switch one of the best switches out there. So I'm going to take your card and place it about right there so we can see it, right? And we're going to separate it from those two cards, which are the two queens. Yeah, put them face up so we can keep track of them. So look at this picture right here. It's pretty good picture. Separation, right? So watch close. We'll separate these. Take your finger there and push your card in. Did you see it happen? Take a look through. You see it in there? Oh, look.
Hold up.
Set this one up. 2.0 is an updated version of that move. I'm going to teach you better handlings, ways to get into the switch, all the stuff that I've worked out over the last 10 years.
So when I heard that this was coming out, I got really excited because I've been using the Groove Electric switch for about 10 years now. I had gotten the original release of this, which was back in 2009 or 2008 by Vanishing Ink. And so Doc Docherty released it in video format at that time, and I picked that up. And I can tell you guys that I kind of wonder if they really needed to actually re-release this or not. So as always, I'm going to give you guys my initial thoughts about this. I'm going to go over what you're going to get, and I'm going to do a comparison between this and the older video, the older download that was released. Then I'm going to give you guys some final thoughts. So my initial thoughts are this, is that I love the move. I even have my own application of the move to go right into a full bottom palm. And I don't really know why they decided to just make a new release of this. I was expecting that they would have all kinds of different applications and some unique things, but unfortunately, there really wasn't that much new stuff here. So that was very disappointing. If you're not familiar with the Groove Electric switch, this is a utility move that's a force, it's a control, it's a switch, all wrapped into one. This is not very difficult to perform, and you'll learn it very quickly. Angle-wise, it's really great on the angles because you're using a fan, and it really has some nice subtleties where you can even lift up the fan and show the spectator their selection right before it's switched. They can burn your hands. They're really not going to see anything, which is great because a lot of switches you have to do on the offbeat. And the other big advantage is that you don't need a table for this. This can all be done in the hands, which is really good. So there's a lot of really good things about it. In fact, let me show you guys really quickly my application of the move, how you can go right into a bottom palm with it. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you my application of the Groove Electric switch as a control into a full bottom palm. And I've been doing this for years this way, and I always tell you guys you should only trust magic reviews from people that actually really are using the material that they're reviewing. So here we're going to use the 9 of diamonds as a selection. So the card is returned back into the pack, and of course it's controlled with the Groove Electric switch. So you have it now under your control here, and it looks like all you've done is replace it into the pack and fan out the cards. And then here all you're going to do is just going to close up the spread, apparently, and there you have control of the card completely. So here what I do is I'll just spread the cards and tell the spectator, hey, you could have selected any of these cards. And as I square up, I now have the card in full bottom palm. I can just go right into my wallet or my pocket and produce it. And that is the move right there. Okay, so you guys even saw my own application of the move. The move is really great overall. And so for $10, that's all it costs, $10, you're gonna get a 30-minute downloadable instructional where Doc Docherty goes over painstakingly how to do the move step by step, really slowly. He also has a section he calls troubleshooting, where he goes over a couple ideas where maybe some people have had some difficulties with the move. And then he also goes over some additional applications of it where you can go right into a Tenkai palm with it, or you can use it to go into a diagonal palm shift. The two routines that he goes over, the first one is the classic groove transpo effect, which he also taught exactly the same on the original release of this, the original download that was put out 10 years ago. So there's nothing really new there. Basically, a selection is ends up sandwiched between two face-up port cards. A selection is made, and then it's switched, and up until the very last second, the spectator sees their selection as it gets pushed in, and then it ends up trapped between two selections. So it looks just like the trick called Subway by Dan and Dave Buck, if you're familiar with that, but it uses the Groove Electric switch. The other routine that he goes over is called the Groove Electric Collectors, and that's a collector's routine, which unfortunately I didn't really like it. I didn't care for it because at the very end you have to do a deal to show that the selections are between the face-up port cards. Basically, if you're not familiar with the collector's plot, 3 selections are made, they're lost in the pack, and then they end up found sandwiched between 4 face-up court cards which were put aside earlier. The problem with it is that the best collectors are the ones where you just spread the face-up cards and they're already in between them. The problem is in this, you have to deal them to the table one at a time, showing that they're there. So I really didn't like that. I really didn't care for that. When I compare the routines of this video download compared to the original one was much better, and the reason is because on the original there was a routine there called Groove and Hofsensor, which was much better than the collector's routine, much more workable, and that was based on the Hofsensor card problem, which I think technically was a Jack Avis routine, but I think that Di Vernon attributed it to Hofsensor, and then the name just stuck. And so if you're not familiar with the Hofsensor ace problem, basically 4 aces are shown and put aside, a selection is made and lost in the pack, and then what you try to do is you try to figure out what the suit value is of the person's selection, and you eliminate the other aces to show that you've only got 1 card in your hand, which apparently is the same suit value as their selection, but what happens is you end up having their card in your hand, and in the pack is the ace, the other ace, the missing ace. So it's got like a transposition type effect to it as well. And so that's the Hofsensor ace problem. And I think that that routine was much stronger and better overall. I think it's an excellent application of the Groove Electric switch. So overall, I would tell you guys that I think that the original download is probably even better than this updated one, unfortunately. I was expecting a lot more. I was really disappointed that there wasn't some better ideas. I mean, it's been 10 years and newer applications with the Groove Electric switch. The reality is that there's very little difference in the teaching. He goes over pretty much exactly the same thing. At the end of the instructional, he does go over another move, which he did on both of the downloads, which is called the Zoso change, which is basically a color change, very similar to the Robert Moreland cloud change. And there's nothing new there. It's taught exactly the same way he taught it originally. So that's pretty much the whole downloadable video that you're gonna get. And in all honesty, I think that there's not enough of a difference to really warrant a new updated release of this move. The routines are better on the original one. I guess you can make the argument that on this more updated handling that he goes over more detail of the move, and he does show you maybe a couple other applications overall, but taken as a whole, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference. So ultimately, I would rate this as a 3 out of 5 star, only because I don't really think that he needed to re-release it. I think the move is excellent. I would highly recommend the move to anybody who wants to learn it. And if you've never seen this before, then I would highly recommend that you don't hesitate and just pick it up. You will not be disappointed, and it's not difficult to perform, so you'll really enjoy learning it very quickly. It's something that you're going to use all the time like I do. So that's pretty much my review on this, guys. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next review.